All right. He's just caught me about to have a drink. Hello. Right, so hold on. So, yeah, they released the top 50 countries of persecution. It's a pretty big surprise. I got at least when I opened it. I'm just going to silence my phone because I forgot to do that because I was panicking about reading this stuff out without knowing it. Not because I want to seem like I know, but because I feel like I may have a small breakdown and I don't have my small violin with me. So let's all just pray a little bit. Hi, Chris. Hello, Armor of God. All right, let's do it because this is like distressing in the extreme. And yet there is some good news. So let me keep an eye on my camera as well. Hi, Mohammed, in case it, yeah, I can see the live chat. So please do let me know if Christian Creed, if it all goes dark as if I haven't paid the electric. Okay, so this is the World Watchlist 2022. Of course, this is focused on 2021, in fact, because they're not in the psychic game. I'm going to give you some brief trends rather than the extant report, because that's going to take some digesting even for me. So number one has been North Korea for 20 years. That's 2 decades. That's older than people who are legally able to pay tax and vote. That's a long time to be up at the top. However, I feel like I'm doing some weird pop show, but now Afghanistan is number one in the world when taking into account 5 different demographics, spheres of living for persecution of Christians. Christianity, of course, remains, I'm this confident, I'm not even reading the report about this, it remains the most persecuted religion globally. You're right, Martin. So, for the first time ever, Afghanistan is number one on the Open Doors World Watch List, and Open Doors do extensive research before they publish these reports every year. It had been number 2 previously, and it rose because of an increase in violence after the largely peaceful Taliban takeover that was back in August of last year. So again, these are just trends that I'm going to let you know about. North Korea is number 2, when formerly, as I just said, for 20 years, it was number 1 since 2002. And though it has dropped 1 entire place, the persecution actually increased last year, as like it very rarely, if ever, I don't think it ever decreases. It only ever gains momentum. So the fall in the number is explained by Christians in Afghanistan basically being persecuted heavily because because it actually increased there also. Another trend is in Indonesia, which is 28 in the top 50. Of course, it doesn't stop at 50, by the way. Last year, the stats from last year certainly show that all of those countries in the top 50, you're right, Bloodfire, were high to extreme levels of persecution. Whereas when I started out looking into this stuff, some of those in the top 50 were just like, when I say just, like horrific mid-range levels, but still like worse, please God, than anything anyone in the West knows about, as in from an experiential point of view. Okay, so back to Indonesia, number 28. The persecution has increased considerably in Indonesia, and I know I have viewers in Indonesia, which I'm like blessed to be able to speak to them. So it's one of the biggest risers, in fact, within the top 50, and it has jumped 19 places. 19 places. So it was 47 just from my schoolgirl maths, and now it is 28, 28th in the top 50. The main cause, because of course they look at educational settings, they look at your private life, your public life, like all of these different factors. But the main cause in this massive increase is an increase in actual violence. We're not talking silence violence, we're talking real life violence, which includes several bomb attacks just in the last year. We see that around the world, 5,898 Christians were killed for their faith just last year. That's just as little, or I mean, it's everything, obviously, salvifically, but as little as refusing to recant your faith, or just proclaiming Christ as Lord, or sometimes actually being accused of Christianity, is enough to get you killed. And just shy of 6,000 Christians were killed for their faith, not for crimes, for their faith. Their faith may well be a crime wherever they are. Out of these, like, hold on to your hats. I keep having to adjust my camera, sorry. Of these 5,898, 4,650, my percentage, like mental mathematics is not enough for this. Hold on. A higher proportion, 4,650 of these 5,900-ish were in Nigeria. This is no surprise to me or anyone, I don't think, who watches this channel, because last year, certainly, even though North Korea was number one overall, they are, of course, atheistic and not Islamic. However, Nigeria was number one in the world from last year's statistics for being murdered for your faith in Jesus. And I agree with Armour of God. Please do pay attention to what I'm saying. You can argue like any old twaddle you like afterwards. So Nigeria, 4,650 of the global total of 5,898 Christians slaughtered last year for their faith. They were all in Nigeria, these 4,650 of our brothers and sisters, just for following Jesus again in Nigeria. And Nigeria, obviously, just from the stats that I just gave you, that's more than the entirety of the world put together in terms of being killed for your faith. 5,100 churches were attacked, desecrated, or destroyed. So in this past year, since the last statistics, and of course these statistics which came out a couple of days ago, there's a certain lag in you know, like a typing up the notes, I guess, and collating all the information and publishing it. So potentially there are a couple more numbers to be added. 5,100 churches and church buildings were bombed, were attacked, were destroyed, looted, burnt down, forcibly closed. I can add to this what I'm reading. I remember reading of feces being smeared up the walls, urination. I remember, oh gosh, what's their name? I feel awful. Oh, there's so many names and so many people. I don't want to get her name wrong. I think her name's Vera. She was 22. She was a macrobiology student in Africa. And certainly 3 years ago, she was gang raped and murdered in a church. She regained consciousness in the hospital long enough to tell about what her attackers did to her before passing away, like some days later. Vera, yep, she was 22, maybe 23. That happened in a church. So it's not only the physical building, it's us, the church, the body of Christ, that is just being, you know, it's foretold, but it doesn't mean it's any more palatable. And this is all the 5,100 churches in order to try to stop us meeting together and worshiping God in fellowship. So if you don't go to a church at the moment, like, that's obviously your choice, you're still part of the church, but like, just ponder that you're blessed to have the opportunity to go, and maybe you might want to just mosey on down just to say hello to a few peeps. So Turkey, which is number 42, fell 17 places. Praise God. That's like amazing. Any country that falls in the list is going in the right direction. Violence fell significantly. No Christians were killed in the last like a data gathering period, which is in the last year. Fewer churches were attacked than the preceding year. On the other hand, pressure increased slightly with Islamic nationalism on the rise, and Erdogan is certainly, let's not go into what he is. I think we know. So on to trends. At least, it's risen, but these little tinkers, these little murderers of Christians. Okay, at least 360 million Christians around the world are now experiencing high levels of persecution and discrimination. And those high levels, of course, include extreme levels. And that's an increase like in at least 20 million from the stats that I've been quoting for a year, which was 340. The year before that, I believe, was 265 or 270. So it's increasing. It's not exponential, but it is 1 in 7 of the global Christian population. 1 in 7. Like 7 is a pretty biblical number, but it's 7 Christians are at high to extreme levels of persecution. And the persecution of our brothers and sisters has reached the highest levels since, certainly since Open Doors World Watchlist began, which is almost 3 decades ago. So consistently, I don't want to misspeak actually, but consistently it has risen, and it is now at its highest. And that affects, increasing numbers of believers around the world. Certainly 1 in 7 are at high to extreme levels of persecution. Let me just run down what that means. That can mean rape, torture, dismemberment, disfigurement, being set on fire, having your village they just roll up, set fire, kill children, rape women, kill men. Or it can mean false imprisonment. It can mean being accused of blasphemy or of denigrating other prophets because you claim that Jesus is God and you know it in your heart, but just to claim it is enough. So the overview of trends that that we are working through will help give us a better assessment and understanding of the situation. Only physically. Spiritually, you must pray, please do pray about it. I prayed for a focus after alongside Speaker's Corner because I'm always feeling convicted that I can do more, and I got this pretty strongly. So, and I've been a bit slack lately, and I apologize for that, but there's only so much death, destruction and mayhem that one chick. Well, no, there's more. I could take more, but I don't know how efficacious it is of me to just keep beating you over the head with stats, but I will. So this also enables is good information to equip us for how and what to pray for the persecuted church who are following Jesus at costs that may seem to you amazing, unbelievable. In fact, we've got our own issues over here in the West, but come on, get with the gratitude list pronto tonto. Okay, so extremism and violence. What do you think? Yes, they continue to rise. Unreal, right? So the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, the largely peaceful, blah, blah, blah. It was in the headlines around the world, and all of a sudden it isn't really in the headlines so much, but I do see it in Christian publications. They are far, actually, they're far from the only violent extremists who target Christians and other minorities. You may have seen the Iraqi parliamentary video that I put up of the Yazidi woman. It literally gives me goosebumps. It's a very moving speech that she gives. And the victory of the Taliban in Afghanistan last year has bolstered militants in other Islamic militants in neighboring Pakistan. Pakistan is already cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. It's not like they're just going out for Sunday drives, as it were, and all chilled out, wearing twin sets and pearls and drinking tea. No, they're already pretty volatile, bunch of tinkers. And yet, Afghanistan's situation has bolstered their enthusiasm, let's say, for a largely peaceful religion. And it may well, and it has, emboldened jihadist groups in other regions. And it's the main reason that Niger has jumped 21 places, for example, and it has now re-entered, even though I've been speaking about it all year anyway, it's re-entered the top 50 after a series of attacks by Islamic militants there. And the Taliban's success encourages extremists and extremism around the world, as one would expect. Sorry, my camera. Shucks. Okay. Right. No, it looks like that's it. Okay. So violence in Sub-Saharan Africa now. Like I speak often on Africa. So alongside the Christians, our brothers and sisters in Niger, Christians across Sub-Saharan Africa face increasingly extreme violence from militants of an Islamic persuasion. And this is particularly, no surprises, severe in Nigeria, where more Christians are killed for their faith than in the rest of the world put together, and then some. But Christians also face, you may remember the beheadings, extreme violence in Mozambique, also in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Central African Republic, Mali, Cameroon, and Burkina Faso. Like I've certainly done a few videos on Burkina Faso. Even countries outside of the top 50, such as South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda, see the most terrible and horrific violence against Christians. Their overall persecution scores are lower because pressure in public and private is much less severe compared to the violence faced elsewhere in the top 50. However, like I say, just because there's a top 50 doesn't mean that numbers 51 to 99 even don't have like real life struggles. We're not talking like, you know, first world problems. So the global church is increasingly becoming a refugee church. And what I mean by that is it is becoming more vulnerable. More than 84 million people around the world have been forcibly displaced and are living as refugees in other countries, or, which is common in Nigeria, they are internally displaced people living within their own country, but not their own region, according to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. And many of these Christians fleeing persecution, with thousands more added to their numbers last year. And also, it's just great to be able to like attack them again when they're all together in camps, which has happened in Nigeria because, you know, tramps is what I'm going to go with. So Christians are among those fleeing for their lives in Afghanistan, not restricted to Christians, of course, whilst in countries such as Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Nigeria, churches and communities are regularly attacked. Even where there is no active conflict, they just roll up. Just Jesus. It's literally just Jesus is enough to just like trigger these mental patients. So, yeah, Christian refugees from places like Iran leave because they've just had enough, basically, of the daily struggle against discrimination. And all they want, I imagine, is somewhere to be both safe and free at the same time. And sadly, life on the move or within these internally displaced people's camps or refugee camps is even more fragile and distressing, and also exposes them to additional discrimination, extortion, human trafficking, sexual violence. I don't know if you remember last year when I did the, I can't remember what it was called, Hidden, Silent and something or other. It was a report on female Christians and their additional persecution sexually. So a displaced church is a vulnerable church. It's not rocket science, seriously. And Open Doors partners do work with refugees in many, many countries, and they provide vital fellowship, shelter, Bibles, aid of other descriptions, both financially and spiritually. Controls have tightened in China, China, oh, the little tinkers, and elsewhere, actually. So the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, these are the same people who, sorry, it's not even funny, but it's just so outrageous. These are the ones who changed the story of the adulterous woman and had Jesus tell them all he was without sin, whatever, you know, cast a blah, blah. They all disappeared. And then Jesus, in this imaginary fairy tale nonsense, picked up the stones and stoned her himself. I got to laugh because it's just so tragic. That's CCP, that one. You know, the one that raids mothers' meetings. You know the one that's got pictures of Xi Jinping up on churches, etc. They're so triggered by Jesus. So these dudes, they demand conformity. Like they go above and beyond the party line. They are company men to a man, as it were. They prefer and demand an ordered, controlled society where freedom of speech and freedom of belief and expression is like stringently restricted. It goes way beyond propaganda, like it's down to the minutiae. And in May 20, and of course they've got the Uyghur Christians and Muslims in internment camps in China. So in May 2021, new rules in China required religious leaders to love the motherland, support the leadership of the Communist Party and the socialist system. It also forbade any acts believed to endanger national security or to undermine national unity, which, of course, if you have Christians running around saying love your neighbour no matter what their political views, that can be seen easily as a threat to national uniformity or unity, as they like to call it. So in practice, these like arbitrary, non-defined rules can be used to target and persecute believers. Like I say, in China, it's Muslims as well as Christians, anyone who's got God, basically, who just want to worship. Like that's about it. The authorities in China use increasingly sophisticated technological techniques to spy or keep an eye on their citizens. In some regions, surveillance cameras are now in all state-approved religious venues. And some Bible apps are now banned outright from online stores. And of course, we know of some sterling work through, getting Bibles into China. So other states have enthusiastically adopted a kind of made in China approach, as it were. In Cuba, church leaders speak out for any form of social justice, and I'm hoping they mean like real justice and not SJW justice, but they have been detained, tortured, and financially penalized. In Nicaragua and Venezuela, authorities have closed churches and promoted smear campaigns against Christianity and Christians. And it's not just the remnants of the communist world. Basically, countries as diverse as Sri Lanka, Myanmar, this is just a joke, it's ridiculous, and Malaysia have all increased restrictions, and where China goes, other idiots follow, quite frankly. Now for the good news, please. Please do stay focused, anyone who just wants to chit-chat. Thank you, Mama of God. So Turkey, Nepal, and others. So the stories from the watch list can be overwhelming, and it may seem as if the situation is increasingly difficult for Christians everywhere. And to be honest, the Bible does foretell that. But whilst persecution is overall increasing, there are places where the reverse is the case. So in 2021, persecution became less severe in Turkey, as I mentioned earlier, which fell 17 places. That's like amazing news. And Nepal, which fell 14 places. There were slightly smaller drops in persecution, or in persecution scores, I should say, because some of the persecution increases, but different spheres of daily life lessen in their impact into the overall score. However, I don't want to take away from the fact that Somalia, Libya, Pakistan, Iran, India, Iraq, Syria, Vietnam, Egypt, Mauritania, Turkmenistan, Laos, Tunisia, and Tajikistan all had drops. They were smaller, and it could well be because bigger players, artificially decreased their rankings. But either way, they are now lower down on the list. And Christians who were less able to follow Jesus are now a little more able, and that should be recognized for what it is, which is an answer to prayer, quite frankly. Iran takes steps towards religious freedom. So recently, the Supreme Court in Iran has decreed that belonging to a house church does not make Christians enemies of the state. So a ruling declared that 9 Christian converts serving 5-year prison sentences for going to house churches should not have been charged with acting against national security, a charge that is often made against believers within court cases, within the legal system. The Supreme Court ruling states that merely preaching Christianity and promoting the evangelical Zionist sect both of which apparently means propagating Christianity through family gatherings or house churches, is not a manifestation of gathering and collusion to disrupt the security of the country, whether internally or externally. And whilst Iran's legal system does not allow for a court precedent to be set, as it were, the same way as we have, at least certainly in Britain, the judgment could be influential in cases against Persian-speaking Christians, and it is certainly encouraging anyway. Iraq's parliament recognized Christmas Day. Whoa, there's some Christians who don't do that. So in December 2020, Iraq's parliament passed a bill making Christmas Day an annual national holiday in the majority Muslim country. On Christmas Eve, Iraq's president, Barham Salih, a Sunni Muslim, thanked Parliament for passing the bill when he spoke whilst attending Mass at St. Joseph's Cathedral in Baghdad. The government, he said, must make serious efforts to enable Iraqi Christians to return and live a secure and dignified life in their homeland. And I do remember being at Speaker's Corner and making a video about his request for Iraqi Christians to come back home. Their religious, he says, and cultural rights must be protected, as the country's history shows they are a major and important part of Iraq's people. And this is obviously encouraging, an encouraging step certainly to Christians feeling safer and more valued in Iraq, which has fallen from 11 to 14 on the World Watchlist this year. So now I'm almost at the end. I've got much, much more, but I felt like I didn't know if I was going to hold it together. So above all, like worldwide, the World Watch List shows that the church is active, it is alive. Our prayers are efficacious, effective, needed, valued, answered, good practice for you all as well, and for me, definitely. So persecution is rising, though. Let's not pretend that it isn't. But that only happens where the church is actively sharing the gospel and living it out. Otherwise, there would be no persecution of Christianity if the Christianity wasn't there. So in a very odd sense, it's also encouraging. And of course, we are the most persecuted religion globally. Don't listen to anyone who says otherwise, because they are talking out of their hat, or twaddle, as we like to call it. So, yeah, I think that's plenty. But it's nice to somewhat end on a positive note. So I may just, clip the video here, but I'll carry on talking for a second whilst my camera and my internet both hold up. So it's nice to see people whose names I don't recognize. Hello. And yet, if you, so I just read these records. If you have any questions now Armor of God will be absolutely fine with you chit-chatting. But thank you very much, Armor of God. You're a blessing to me in many ways. So, what are you saying, people? Has anyone got anything to say, or is that all a little bit overwhelming? Mr. Brown, the sticking to the topic was when I was on the topic, and now I'm off the top. Well, I'm on the topic, but now I'm in a more casual, chit-chatty mood. So, if you want to talk about Christian persecution, then yay, go for it. Okay, so I haven't blocked anyone Hebrewish. You see these hands here? They're not on my keyboard. Anyway, so that's the last thing I'm going to answer about any admin or anything like that. If you have a comment for me to read out and to respond to, please do. But try and remember, let's all remember our manners, because I don't walk into people's living rooms or anything demanding, stuff. Oh, right, Christian Creed, I see what's going on. It's all right. The thing is that, people don't really want the truth, do they? I don't even know how to say your name, Olaf. I do apologize. What do I think of conversion therapy? I have no problem with, this is what I have no problem with. If there are people who no longer wish to identify in a certain sexuality, for example, gay people who wish to not be gay people, because of course we saw studies a couple of years ago which disproved the "you're born that way" argument. It's not a protected characteristic if you develop it. No child is born with any sexuality, to be fair. But yeah, I have no problem with it. I don't believe that prayer is like torture, the way that the British government described it recently when discussing conversion therapy. I think it's telling that transgender people who wish to have conversion to like being a lady, as it were, from being a gentleman, they're not discouraged for their conversion therapy. So I think like fair's fair. Thank you, June. That's what I think about that. Yeah, I think if you don't want to do something, if you don't want to smoke cigarettes, try and convert yourself to the kind of person who doesn't do that. If you don't want to be gay, try and convert yourself to the sort of person who's not gay. Like it's not rocket science. If you don't want to be a certain way and you're still autonomous, you're still sovereign over your own life, as it were. Depends where you live. But yeah, just crack on with it. Don't worry about what they say. I know, Christian Creed. Sorry, lovey. They followed the way, Mr. Brown. That's what the original Christians were following. It wasn't necessary. Christianity is mentioned in the Bible, of course, 3 different places, but also the way is how Christianity was referred to, because Jesus, of course, is the way. So yeah, the Roaring Man, Rory, as it were, brilliant. You've no need for anti-smoking therapy then. Sorry, Hebrew Ishmaelite, I didn't catch the first part of what you're saying. So the ones who slept in the cave, that doesn't trigger off any story in my mind that I can think of apart from, I don't know, Rip Van Winkle. I don't know. No, sorry. Yeah, can you? Who was sleeping? Can you just put the whole thingy in and I'll keep an eye on the chit chat? Sorry about that. So, I just answered you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, seriously, like, I just answered you. Christians are mentioned in the Bible. Also, Christianity was called the way. So they would have been followers of the way. Like, yeah, I don't know what the adjective for the people who followed the way was. Way followers, I don't know. But also Christians. And certainly by the time of within the Roman Empire when they were being persecuted. So, yep, that's my answer to that. Big emoji question marks aside. Yeah, Olaf, there's many. Yeah, I was saying it before, like if you, the way the Muslims, no, that's not what it was called. No, Islam didn't exist in biblical times. Just didn't. There were no Muslims, no Islam. How can there be if Muhammad was coming with a unique revelation? They couldn't have been pre-existent, could they? Apparently he came with the name of the true God, even though the true God that Allah said he was had already given his true name. So, the Canadian government, yeah, I've been reading about that. Don't get me started, because this is like where I am at the moment. I'm not in Tim Hortons, but yeah, I'd like to get out of the country again. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll stay, but I need a speaker's corner. I don't know, Mr. Brown. I'm not on that topic at the moment. Excuse me. I was just about to diss Justin Bieber. Sorry, Trudeau. That's his name. Yeah, I don't know. Marxism is a bit of a problem for Christianity right now. Let's not worry about what does it matter, Mr. Brown? Let me know why it's important to you. What does it matter what they were called? Is there some Islamic reference to Nazarenes? Excuse me. Jesus was certainly of Nazareth. However, Nazarenes would have been a little bit of maybe like a cuss, because Nazareth was known as somewhere where nothing really good comes out of that place. Like, and that's why it was even more miraculous that Jesus did and that he was God. Boom. Love a little plot twist. Love it. Right. Any more? Is that right? Mr. Brown knows the answer. He's just asking Christians, even though he knows certainly, even when New Testament scholars, that I'm so sorry, Masoa is mentioned in there. New Testament scholars don't have the skinny, like the inside skinny that Mr. Brown has. Blinder. Okie dokie. All right then, Hebrew Ishmaelite. Yeah. To me, it matters. I mean, God is outside of time anyway. Like, it matters what's going on right now in the body of Christ. But still, so what? That's a self-defeating argument. Mr. Brown says it matters because they were the original followers. You should have called yourself the Nazarenes as they were opposed to Christians. I think, is that what you're saying? And if you're saying they were opposed to Christians, that means you're admitting the existence of Christians. I don't, honestly. The Bible says Christians. What do you want me to do? I didn't write it. Nice one, Emmanuel Ishmael. If anyone wants to see clips of Christian Prince, because I love that man dearly. However, I thought I could chit chat, but he like takes the biscuit and then hangs it out for 2.5 hours. So yeah, Rory, because you need to go to Specsavers, lovey. Bless your little cotton socks. Yes, there's the First Peter, but there's a couple more. I did it with that copy paste Muslim, that African guy in Speaker's Corner. He wanted me to say the verse. Can't remember which one. Emmanuel, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I like a bit of love. It's lovely. It's nice. It's almost like Jesus commanded it. There is no such thing as the man of the God, Mr. Brown. The Son of Man died on the cross. Yes, God died on the cross. The Son of God, the Lamb of God, the Word made flesh, Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, the Son of Man, the Son of God. Same character, same person, Jesus. Certainly not Isa, if that's what you're worried about. Don't panic. He got whipped up in some Paul Daniel style illusion. Right. Any more questions other than big like question marky exclamation point ones? He's both, Mr. Brown. It's called the hypostatic union. He is both 100% man and 100% God. So that's it. The Son of Man is a title from Ezekiel. Oh, shoot. I just did a uni paper on this. Maybe I'll do that just for Mr. Brown. I'll show the divinity of the Son of Man and the King of Kings, because I used both of those characters, and I used 1,500 short words to explain the divinity of the Hebrew Messiah, as it were. So that's all about that. And let's not get away from the fact that now 360 million of our brothers and sisters are like persecuted daily. I mean, Mr. Brown, that's nothing. Honestly, like there's people with real life problems. And Mr. Brown and me, we're not either of them. There are Christians out there getting like, I could show you pictures that you would never have a decent night's sleep for at least a month. I wouldn't anyway, but I got to see them, and I was disturbed greatly. So, any more questions? Oh, I don't think you're blaspheming, Mr. Brown. No, I don't think you're blaspheming at all. That's a good intro to something I wanted to say. So in terms of blaspheming the spirit, which is not even like anywhere close to what Mr. Brown is, yeah, that's not a thing. He's not blaspheming anyway, in my opinion. However, if he was, it would be forgiven other than blasphemy of the spirit. But I was thinking a lot about it because I have had people I'll come to that, Mr. Brown, but I think we've been over it a few times, like maybe in person. The Son of God, who is 100% God, died on the cross. His spirit, however, went into Hades and preached to the spirits therein. His divinity did not die. His humanity died. His flesh died, as it were. There you go. Thank you, Masara. Where was I? Yes, you have to believe something, I think, for it to be, I hope so anyway, considered a blasphemy. Like if you don't believe in Jesus and you say something negative, like I don't believe it to be blasphemy, because I don't believe blasphemy when people say bad stuff about Muhammad, because I don't think you can blaspheme a human. I just don't think you can. You have to be God to be blasphemed. I mean, don't do it just for the sake of it, but the unforgivable sin is blasphemy of the spirit, and yet I think you have to have the spirit within you to convict you of that, if that makes sense. Otherwise, we just start becoming like, the CCP. So yeah, so that's not at the moment, Mr. Brown, but yeah, we can sort that out when I come home. I'll be home next month. So yeah, once I'm home, just me and my Jesus. Once we're home, yeah, we'll sort something out. Or we could just do it at the park, depending on the weather. But since I've been in this minus 30s, absolutely lovely country, I'll just be bowling about in like shorts and flip flops with the little -2s, and it's like 3 degrees. So yeah, we could do it in the park, or we can do it online. Rory? No, I never met the Pope, babes. Not in Canada or in. No, I never met the Pope. I saw him kissing a Bible, Quran though. So that was enough. And I've studied some of the former incumbents of that Peter's Throne business, and some of them were very naughty boys. Hebrew Ishmaelite, please do be nice to my admin, because I love that kid. Right. Yeah, it'd be all right, Miss Brown. Let's pick up like a couple topics though. Let's not go all, I mean, you know, we're both like a little chinwag, so let's not go like all round houses. Sorry, I'm conscious of my phone keeps going to idle with the camera, and then I know that sometimes it just goes off. Dragon is also an amazing admin, and she's here. So, Emmanuel, I'm not even going to repeat it. What you have to do is get in line with everyone else. What is this? I know Jesus said you'll be persecuted. I'm joking. I'm what we like to call, or I like to call, a grown up. And if God convicts me, like then I'll come back to the table for discussion. But other than that, grown woman. Hebrew, I don't know where you got that idea. If you just met him, then even though I don't think that's the case at all. I could make a strong case for the opposite, in fact. Thank you, Emmanuel. So do I. But I also care for the health of other people. And if I don't smoke, someone else may get their head bitten off. That's a joke, obviously, but still. Thank you. Christian Creed has given me a brilliant hint, as in like stop the video, okay, because we're getting into the waffle territory. But I will be back. I have, what can I do? I can't convince you to love each other. If you got Jesus, get on board with the love. If not, get on board with the Jesus, and then you'll get the love and give the love. Thank you very much, Dragon. You're an absolute superstar. All right, stick that on the discussion, Mr. Brown, because I'm just saying my goodbyes. Yeah, it means God as in like Allah, you know, like the God. It's not his name. So that's all right. He gives us his name, and it's not it. So I love it when love reigns supreme in the chat, don't you? Oh my God, you're very welcome, babes. My pleasure, always. Mr. Brown, what do you want from me, child? Like, seriously, just come at me another time, bruv. As far as I know, yeah, it does. I think the God. It depends whether you've got a big E, a small E. Like, it's not for now. I don't think it is the Tetragrammaton, Chris. I don't think it is at all. No, phonetically it's different. So, excuse me. I know, yeah. Right. No personal information. I got just laugh. Okay, I'll do that, Mr. Brown. I shall do that immediately as soon as I get to the other big end of the long list of stuff I actually have to do as well. I'll just, I'll put it on there. Thank you, Martin Ellen, and lots of love to you all. And I'm going to clip this video so that it's just the persecution news, because spoiler alert, you and I and our little chit chat is not as important as people knowing what is going on in the persecuted church. So I'll do a couple of prems like soonish, but my internet is restricted by this lovely country. It's a lovely country. It's very nice people. Right, Hebrew Ishmaelite. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll chat to you soon. I'm going to press the button because otherwise I'll just keep chatting and saying goodbye and chit-chatting and saying goodbye. Right. See you later. And God bless. Lots of love. And please pray for the persecuted church. And I'll bring you some more stats soon, I promise. All right. Laters. Bye.